We're starting a new series here on YouTube, and it's going to be called Life Changes. And it's all about major life changes and what they mean for your money. Life is going to happen. Life be lifing, whether we pay attention or not. So we might as well make the most of it and have our money help us live the life of our dreams. I'm Meagan McGuire, certified financial planner, chartered financial consultant, and certified student loan professional, and a co-founder of SLP Wealth, a financial planning firm that works with high student loan debt career professionals, so folks such as veterinarians, doctors, dentists, and more. And today we're going to be talking about one of the biggest life changes you can have, and that is having kids. And wow, I'm going to be speaking to myself during this conversation because I am currently 6 months pregnant for the first time. So this is a pep talk for myself along with a pep talk for you on how we can get your money right for having kids. And it's not too late if you already have kids. I think there's still some really great things we'll chat about today that's relevant for pre having kids, but also while you have young ones at home as well. So whether you're a physician, a therapist, a veterinarian, a dentist, or any other high income, high debt professional, you probably have good income, but you might also have a lot of student loan debt, which adding a baby into the mix changes your financial picture in a very big way. So let's talk about what to plan for before you have kids and how to budget once they arrive, and some of the most common questions I get from new parents about money, and some of the things I'm literally thinking about myself right now. Okay, section one. Let's talk about before you have a kid. Let's talk about planning ahead. And if you already have a kid, again, don't worry. If you already do and you didn't do these things, you could still get to doing these things now. But let's say you're getting ready to have a baby, like myself, I'm due January 4th. It's smart to look at your income and your expenses. Let's start with cash flow. I know this is not sexy, it's boring, but I think you can make it a little sexy in the sense of it's really, really helpful and it gives you a lot of peace of mind to know where your money is going right now. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, that's not going to feel better once daycare, diapers, and medical bills start kicking in. So I recommend Monarch Money as a tool to use to get a really good picture of where your money's going, the money that's coming in, the money that's going out, so you can start to understand what is working with you and what's working against you. What do we need to address before baby gets here? Do we need to reduce expenses, cut expenses? Do we need to make some other life changes like moving to a different location, or switching out our car for a lower car payment? There's a lot of things that you can do proactively before baby gets here to, one, have awareness about where your money's going so we can know how things are going to change when baby's here, but also to address the things that we can address while we still have time and, good sleep. Your student loan strategy is another area that's going to be affected, and this can be something proactively you're thinking about before your baby gets here. If you're a student loan borrower going for PSLF or an income-driven repayment plan, you're adding a child. This can actually lower your student loan payment because your family size changes your income-driven calculation when they calculate the discretionary payment. That's worth running the numbers for before the baby arrives to see, does it make sense to recalculate your income-driven payment now, or does it make sense to recalculate your income-driven payment while you're out on maternity leave or paternity leave if there's going to be a change in your income? That could be something to run the numbers for, get a plan for, so you know when to pull the trigger on the changes to make on your student loan plan. Another big thing you want to check is maternity and paternity leave. How much time can you take off? What is paid? What is not paid? What percentages are you going to be getting of your income? I see a lot of high income earning professionals assume that they have a full pay maternity or paternity leave, but that's not always true. It could be a percentage of your income or full pay for a certain period of time and then half pay after a certain period of time. But regardless, understanding this just helps you prepare for any income gaps. And that budgeting exercise we talked about a second ago, that's going to help you bridge, the understanding of what's going to change and how and when you should make changes. Last little topic in this section is health insurance. Review what your plan covers for prenatal, birth, and newborn care. Out-of-pocket maximums can be a surprise for some people because maybe you've never really needed to use your health insurance, or not as much other than like checkups. So get an understanding of what it might look like cost-wise. And there's some things too that your health insurance may cover. Like, for example, my health insurance covered a breast pump for, the baby to come. So that was free of charge, which was really cool. I didn't know that. I had somebody on Instagram tell me that. So check to see what your health insurance provides. Could surprise you. And you also just want to have a good understanding of what your maximum out of pocket is going to be, because that is probably what you expect to pay until, that coverage starts kicking in and everything else is covered by your insurance. A little preparation here and there does go a long way towards making these first few months a lot less stressful when the baby is actually here and you've got a lot less sleep. All right, section 2 is going to be budgeting, cash flow planning after the baby arrives. So once the baby is here, your budget is going to shift. Sometimes it could be a dramatic shift. Here are some of the big areas that you want to start planning for. And number one, no surprise, is going to be childcare. This is often the biggest new expense for some of my clients and definitely it can range in different cities as well. But for full-time daycare, seems to be an average of about $2,000 per month. So if you are a professional seeing clients part-time, or let's say you've got variable hours, you might want to explore nanny shares or part-time care to balance the cost, but also just doing some cost shopping beforehand can be helpful to make sure that there's not a wait list that you need to be sitting on before baby can actually start going to daycare. Because depending on the area you live, that might be a reality. Healthcare. So again, your healthcare will change. Your premiums will likely go up when you add your child to your plan, and you'll have co-pays for well visits. There's a lot of little well visits that you're going to have in the first year of life of your baby. So you want to make sure that you've got an idea of what those are going to be to get those well visits taken care of, the vaccinations, the occasional urgent care visit for fever, make sure we're prepared there. That's one thing I'm not looking forward to, is seeing what my health insurance premium will change to, but it is part of the reality. Now, there's also going to be everyday baby care costs that you were not used to spending money on. So maybe formula, diapers, clothing, burp bibs, rags, more dish soap, laundry soap. They add up. They're going to have a monthly line item for these things that just weren't part of your cash flow before. And that's something that you want to just be aware of or have some buffer room for when they start coming into the picture. And yes, to be fair, you'll probably be doing less of something that you used to do before baby was here, like maybe less going out to eat, less travel, but make sure we know where our shifting is going to happen within our cash flow, and knowing what your cash flow is going to help you do that. My favorite one in this section is saving for the baby's future. This is where some people feel pretty torn. Should you open a 529 for college savings or some kind of savings account for your kiddo now? Or should you focus on your student loans? Should you focus on retirement? I typically tell my clients to make sure that their own retirement and their emergency fund are solid first. That's first and foremost what we need to be doing, making sure we're taking care of mom and dad. That saying where, the oxygen mask comes down, take care of yourself first so you can help others. Then your kids can start to come into the picture when it comes to saving for their education and their future. Kids can borrow for college. You cannot borrow for retirement, or you don't want to go into debt if we don't have an appropriate emergency savings fund. So the goal here is to adjust your spending so you can cover these new expenses, including maybe some savings, without feeling like you're constantly feeling in some kind of financial triage mode. All right, section 3, I'm going to go through some common questions I get from new parents. We get a lot of questions, and here are some of the top ones. Do I need life insurance? Yes, absolutely. If someone depends on your income, whether that's your spouse, your child, or both, you probably need something called term life insurance. It's very affordable, definitely something that you want to have as part of your financial plan, even if you're still paying down loans or focusing on other areas of your finances, because that is a catastrophic situation, right? If you are no longer here to think about like what kind of money situation your family is going to be left in, but it's a really important conversation to have because things happen. Another thing you want to look at in addition to life insurance would be disability insurance. I think that's actually a little more urgent, catastrophic in the sense of if you are unable to go into work because you're sick or injured for an extended period of time, hey, you're still here that having to pay the rent or the mortgage or your student loan payments. Like when you die, some of those things get rearranged and fall off, like your student loans. But if you are out on a disability claim and you don't have a paycheck coming in, that's going to be a big problem for the bills that are still coming because you are still here. That is morbid, but disability insurance is a lot of times something that an employer provides a portion of. So just take a look at what they're offering and see if you need to supplement on top of that. We typically recommend own occupation disability insurance because that means if you are unable to do the duties of your own job, so you as a dentist, you as a therapist, you as a vet, then that disability insurance policy kicks in. Where if you didn't have that clause, own occupation, if you got a job part time watching your neighbor's kid, that could forego your disability benefits, even though the income is not the same between watching your neighbor's kid and what you were making as a dentist or a therapist, for example. So, very important to make sure that your insurance needs are taken care of, especially if you've got dependents like a baby. Another question I get a lot of is should we open a 529 right away? So, you can, but don't feel pressure to go big right out the gate. You could start small, even if it's $50 a month. This account grows over 18, 20, 22 years, like while we're waiting on your kiddo to go to college. This is also an account you could tell your friends and family about at birthdays or holidays for, hey, we don't need any more gifts or toys, but maybe contribute to their education. And then you can give them the information for their 529 account, which is a great way to contribute to your family members, your kiddo as well. But yes, I think starting small could be super smart. That's what I plan to do. I'm going to start, putting maybe $100 or $200 a month away in a 529 for my kiddo right out the gate. You need a social security number to link the 529 to the beneficiary correctly. So you could do that. You could have it open and ready to go before baby gets here and then add the social later, or you could just do it all in one fell swoop once baby is here. Another question I get a lot of is, do we need a will? Yes, absolutely. It's not just about the money. It's about naming a guardian for your child if something happens to you or you and your partner, you and your spouse. So some estate planning is crucial, especially if you have a kiddo, because you don't want the court system to decide where your baby's going. You want to make that decision. These steps are all about protecting your growing family and can be super smart to take a look at when you're looking at your financial picture as you're preparing for your baby to get here. Having kiddos is, what I hear, one of the most exciting and rewarding life changes you can go through. I'll let you know how I feel about that in about, 6 months. But it's also one of the most expensive things that you can go through financially speaking. So a little planning now can help you avoid feeling financially overwhelmed later when there's just not as much time in the day. If you're a high income professional with significant student loan debt and you want help creating a plan that balances loan repayment, family expenses, the future, that's exactly what we do at SLP Wealth. So check out the link in the description below to learn more about working with us and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes in our Life Changes series. And we'll be covering everything from buying your first home to planning retirement while still paying off student loans because you can do all the above. I promise you. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll catch you on the next one.